Is the automation introduction class. Okay, welcome back to automation PTP automation. Today is yesterday we have discussed about the automation introduction. Today is the first day for QTP or UFT. Okay, so let me to introduce Meghna to all of you guys. I think I have explained you about the course schedule. From today onwards, Meghna is our trainer for QTP or UFT. But Madhu is the point of contact for any technical or non-technical questions after the class. During class, Meghna can explain you all the details, but after the class, you can contact me for any technical issues. And let me introduce Meghna to everybody. Meghna is an excellent trainer and she is the principal trainer here for Get Software Services. She is holding BA Electronics degree. That means she is from non-IT background, just like many of us. She has multiple certifications like IBM Ration certification, foundation level certification in hospitality and insurance domain. She was trained on Six Sigma, Lean projects. She has more than 8 years of software testing experience in manual and automation in multiple domains like banking, insurance, hospitality, and payment processing. She conducted more than 50 batches for QA, QTP, RFT, Quality Center, Rational Quality Manager, and SQL in last 6 years. So this is about Meghna. By the way, have you guys received any my running notes material and recorded video? If no, please check your spam folder also and send me reminder mail. I will add you to my mailing list. Okay, and if you have any questions any day, please feel free to call me from 6 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. Eastern time. Weekends, anytime you can call me. And as a request, please avoid WhatsApp or text messages. Okay, let me hand over the session to Meghna. Then let us go from there. Okay, thank you very much, guys. Okay, over to Meghna.
Yeah, thank you, Madhu.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. This is Meghna, and like Madhu said, I'll be a trainer for UFT classes. So welcome all of you to the class. Alright, so we will get started with today's session. So yesterday you had automation introduction class. Today we will be starting with UFT introduction. That means we will start with basics of UFT. Like simple things, what is this tool and how to open this tool, what different windows you get, how to create a simple script, how to run a script. So all these basic things we will be covering in today's session. Right. So you all know UFT, which stands for Unified Functional Testing. It is a tool which was first created by a company called Mercury, but later on HP took over Mercury and then it was called as HP UFT. Now the latest version belongs to one more company called Micro Focus. So Micro Focus has taken over HP Enterprise. So now Micro Focus owns this tool. The latest version available is 14.5. So earlier it was called as QTP, Quick Test Professional, and then when some major changes were made to this tool, and that is when they renamed it as Unified Functional Testing. So UFT uses VB script. That is, a VB script is a language which is used to create your automation scripts, right? So it's an automation functional regression testing tool. So you can install it easily on your machine. So in case you have a Windows operating system, so it can be installed easily. You can just go to the Micro Focus website, download the latest version. You get only the latest version to download. So you can download 14.5, that is the latest version, and you can install it. Right. So installation is not complicated. So you just have to keep pressing next until the installation is done. So in case you're not able to install, you can always use the lab machine. So you have lab machine on which UFT 14.5 is installed, and you can do all your practice on the lab machine. Okay, so once you have installed UFT, let me just connect to the lab machine. Okay, so once you have installed UFT, this is the icon for UFT, Micro Focus Unified Functional Testing. Let me close all of this and show you from beginning. Just 1 minute. Okay, so once the installation is done, it creates a desktop icon. So this is the one, Micro Focus Unified Functional Testing. To open the tool, just double click on it. Now this is a licensed tool. Unified Functional Testing or UFT. It's not an open source tool, it's a licensed tool, which means you get a trial period of 60 days. You can use this tool for free for 60 days. So once your license has expired, it will ask you to install the license. Right? But you can use it for free for 60 days. Earlier, the older versions trial period was only for 30 days, but now the latest version you get it for 60 days. But after 60 days you cannot use it. Even if you uninstall and reinstall the tool, it will still show you as license has expired. But however, you can practice everything in this 60 days. So for 60 days you can use this tool, post which it will ask you to install the license. So we'll come back to the this license page later. For now, I'll just click on continue. Right, so just click on continue. Never click on install license when you're in trial period. So even if you're practicing on the lab machine, never click on install license, because once you click on install license, next time you open UFT, it will ask you to install the license, right? So even if you have 60 days left, it will not work. So always click on continue. Okay, so just click on continue in this window. So we'll come back to the license page later. So next page you get is this Addins page. Now I'll tell you about this page. What is this Addins Manager page? Now UFT, it supports many technologies, which means you can automate different types of applications using UFT. You can automate a web application. You can automate you can also do mobile automation. You can automate a SAP application. You can automate Unix or mainframe application, PeopleSoft, Siebel, .NET, Visual Basic. So like this, there are many technologies that UFT supports, which means using UFT, it's not just web or a desktop application. You can automate different types of applications which are built using different technologies. Since it supports so many technologies, they provide something called as Addins Manager page. And in this page, you need to select the add-in required to automate your application. For example, if my application is web, if I'm automating say Amazon.com. Now Amazon.com is a web application, right? So if I'm automating a web application, I will have to select this web add-in. You can see here there's a web add-in, right? So I need to select this web add-in to automate a web application. If you're doing mobile automation, for example, then you have to select this mobile add-in. Other add-ins are not required. If I'm automating a Windows application or Visual Basic, then I can select this add-in. So depending on what type of add-ins or what type of application you're automating, you need to select that particular add-in. So there are many other add-ins also. It depends on what all you have installed. So there is SAP, PeopleSoft, many others, right? But during installation, only some default add-in gets installed. So no need to select all the add-ins. All the add-ins are not required, right? Because my application will not have everything. Select the add-in required for your application. So if you are automating a web application, then select only web. Other add-ins are not required. I can just unselect the other two. If you are automating a .NET application, then you can just select .NET. So if your application has two technologies, say .NET and ActiveX, then you can select both. Right? So select the add-ins required for your application. Don't select everything, because if you select everything, UFT has to download all the components required for your application, or required for all these add-ins, which will make UFT slow. Since it has to load so many components, if you select everything, it will decrease QTP performance. So the best practice you need to follow is select the add-ins required for your application. Not all add-ins are required, right? So whatever technology your application is using, select only those add-ins in the Addins Manager page. Okay, so it is just to load the components which are required to automate your application. So based on your application, you select the add-in. Now during installation, so if you are installing UFT on your machine, just keep one thing in mind. So it selects the default add-ins, all these web, ActiveX, Visual Basic, all these are default during installation. But to practice, you will need WPF add-in also. Right? So the application that we are going to use to learn different topics, that application makes use of WPF. So during installation, just select WPF add-in. It is not selected by default. So in the add-ins page, during installation, you will get the list of add-ins that you want. Right? So during installation, select WPF. It will be there under .NET. So if you select .NET, WPF is also selected. So install .NET and WPF when you are installing. So this is one thing you keep in mind, because it is not installed by default. So if you can't find WPF, then you will have to uninstall and install again. So just keep in mind to select WPF when you are installing UFT on your machine. So it will be available under .NET. It is required for the application that we are going to use. Okay, what different add-ins are used by you? So all these are different add-ins. There are many other added now, but web application, for if it's a web application, then you make use of web add-in. For desktop or Windows applications, you can use VB add-in. For Unix or mainframe applications, you can use terminal emulator add-in. Terminal emulator is for Unix and mainframe applications. For mobile automations, you can use mobile add-in. SAP applications, you can use SAP add-in. For PeopleSoft, you have a separate add-in. For Siebel applications, again you have separate add-in. So depending on your application, you can select the required add-in. Right. So once you've selected the add-in required for your application, so I'll select only web and WPF. Click on OK. So click on OK. So this screen is called a splash screen. So what you get before it opens UFT, right? It's called as splash screen. So it will be there only for around 4 to 5 seconds, so before it opens UFT. So that screen, name of that screen is called as splash screen. Okay, so this is the start page of UFT. So that is how you open. Just double click on the icon. You get license warning. In that window, just click on continue. And then in the Addins Manager page, select the required add-in for your application. Okay, so that is about the add-ins page. Now let us go back to the license page. So I told you UFT is a license tool. It's not an open source tool. It's a license tool, which means your company, in case they want to use UFT for automation, they will have to pay for the license. So there are different types of licenses available. So you can actually tell there are 3 types. First is the trial period, which is for 60 days. One more type of license is called a seat license. Seat license. And the other one, the third type, is called as concurrent license. Third type is concurrent license. concurrent license. So there are three types: trial period, seat license, and concurrent license. Trial period is for 60 days, which means once you have installed the tool, you can use it for free for 60 days. That is the trial period. You can see how the tool is, you can get used to the tool. So they give you a 60 days of trial period. So once 60 days is expired, it will ask you to install the license. So you will have to apply the license key to open the tool. So even if you uninstall and install, it is not going to work. So only if you format your operating system, and only then you can install it again. So trial period is for 60 days. So once trial period is expired, company will either purchase a seat license or concurrent license. First, let me tell you about seat license. What is a seat license? So if your company purchases a seat license, this seat license is mapped to a particular computer's IP, which means, so your company has purchased one seat license and they install that seat license on this computer 1. So once they have installed seat license on computer 1, it is configured to this computer, it is locked to this computer, which means this seat license is going to work only on this computer. So this license key can be used to open UFT only on this computer. If you use the same license key to open UFT on a different computer, it is not going to work. So on this computer, it will not work. The seat license is mapped to a computer's IP. Right? So once you have purchased a seat license, you configure it to a computer, it is locked to that particular computer's IP. Same seat license is not going to work on any other computer. So if your company, say, has purchased two seat licenses, license 1 and license 2, seat license 1, seat license 2. Seat license 1 you have configured on this computer 1, seat license 2 you have configured on computer 2. So once you have configured them on computer 1 and computer 2, these licenses are going to work only on these respective computers. It is locked to that particular computer. Seat license 1 will work only on computer 1. Seat license 2 will work only on computer 2. Okay, so it is always locked to computer's IP. It is not going to work on any other machine. So that is seat license. But it has a disadvantage because of the machine dependency. So if something goes wrong with computer 1, you cannot use a seat license on any other computer. Right? So machine dependency is there when you use seat license. So that is when most of the companies, they go for the third type, which is concurrent license. Concurrent license, on the other hand, it is not dependent on any machine. Concurrent license is installed on a license server. Concurrent license is installed on a license server. Say for example, if company has purchased 5 concurrent licenses, that means any 5 machines can make use of these 5 licenses to open UFT concurrently or parallelly. Any 5. It is not dependent on any machine. So as long as you're able to connect to the license server, apply the license key, you will be able to use this license. So if they have purchased 5, then that means 5 machines can make use of UFT or make use of this license parallelly. You can open UFT on 5 different machines at a time. Any 5. They just have to connect to the license server and they will be able to open UFT. So it is not locked to any particular computer. It does not have any dependency on the machine. Any 5 machine can open UFT using these 5 concurrent licenses. Parallelly, 5 machines can work on UFT. Say if 6th person wants to open UFT, but all 5 are already being used. So it will not allow the 6th person to open UFT because we have purchased only 5 licenses. So what we have to do is anyone should close UFT. Say this person is done with his work. So he can close UFT. So once he closes UFT, one extra license will be available because only 4 are being used. Right? So one will be available which the 6th person can make use of the license and he will be able to open UFT. So anyone can make use of this license to open UFT in the company, but only thing is parallelly if they have purchased 5, it means parallelly 5 machines can open or use UFT making use of this license. So if someone else wants to use it, one of them should close UFT. So once they close UFT, extra licenses available which can be used by the other person to open UFT. So that is how concurrent license work. So it is not dependent on any machine. So it is installed on the license server which can be used by anyone to open the tool. Right, so these are the 3 types you get: trial period, seat license and concurrent license. So there is a screenshot. Let me just show you. Yeah. So this is what you get once your trial period has expired. It will ask you to select the license type. Seat license. Seat, if you see the description, seat license is specific to computer on which it is installed. Concurrent license regulates a number of concurrent UFT users and require installation of license server from a separate CD-ROM found in the UFT package. Right, so seat license is specific to a computer, whereas concurrent license, concurrently, those many number of users can use UFT. Okay, so these are the 3 types that you get. Is it clear? Any questions in this? Okay. Now, to practice UFT, you get a sample application. So you get a sample application. It's called as flight reservation application. So there are many different topics in UFT, and to practice we need an application, right? So there are actually 2 sample applications that you get with UFT. One is the Windows application, which is installed along with UFT. You don't have to install anything separately. So this sample application is installed along with UFT. So apart from this, you also get a web application. It's also a flight reservation application which you can use for practicing. One is web application and the other is a Windows application. First, let me show you this Windows application. You can find this application in the installation path. Trial period is dependent on one computer? Yes. Say if you have installed UFT on your machine, so you will get to use the tool for 60 days on your machine. Okay, it is dependent on computer. If you have one more computer, you can install it there as well. So on that computer also you will get for 60 days. Okay, so this sample application you can find here in the installation path. Let me, yeah, one second, I'll do this in full screen. So like I said, this application is installed. It comes along with the installation package, so you don't have to install anything separately. So you can find it here. Go to Start, All Programs, Micro Focus. Under Micro Focus, you have a folder called Sample Applications. Under Sample Applications, you can find this. This is the application, Flight GUI. Flight GUI, just click on it. It will be there in Start, All Programs, Micro Focus, UFT, Sample Applications. So under Sample Applications folder, you will find this flight GUI. Here, username is John. John is the username to log in. And password is HP. Okay, username is John. Password is HP. And then click on OK. So once you click on OK, you are logged in here and you can select fly from, fly to, date of flight. You can find a flight and then you can book your ticket. Right, so something like this. So if I click on find flights, it will show me flights from London to Paris on 20th September. So I can select a flight. I can enter passenger name. Click on order. Right, so like this I can book the flight. So this is a sample application which we'll be using in our course to practice different UFT topics. This is one application. One more application you get is the web application. It's also a flight reservation application which you can open from your browser. Let me open the browser. Here I'll enter the URL of the application. So this URL, what is the username, password, all this is there in running notes. So www.newtours.demo.com. This is the URL. newtours.demo.com. This is the URL. Just click on it and it will open flight reservation application. This is the one. Here username is Mercury. Mercury is a username. Password is also Mercury. Both username and password for this application is Mercury. And then click on sign in. And again same thing, you can book the flight from here. Right, so these are the two sample applications that you get along with UFT, which we'll be using to practice the tool. You can find it here. Okay, username for the sample application is John. Password is HP for the desktop application. For web application, you have it down below. So below you have the URL, what username and password to use. So that is brief about the tool. What are different types of licenses you get, what is the Addins Manager page, and the sample applications that we'll be using. Now let us learn how to create a simple script. You can see a job advertisement. Record and playback expert people are not required. We are looking for heavy VB script experienced people. Now first let me tell you what is record and playback. Record and playback in UFT is very simple and easy, but just record and playback is not helpful in real time. So in real time, you need to know VB script to create your automation scripts. But that is a basic thing to start with, what is record and playback. So we will first learn in today's class, we'll just learn about what is record and playback and how to do it, how it actually works. And from tomorrow, we'll start learning different UFT concepts. What is record and playback? This is very simple to do. But like I said, in real time, just record and playback will not help. So what is recording? Now UFT is an automation tool, right? So which is used for automation testing. Now what is automation testing? Testing can be done manually. That means testers, when they test the application, it is called as manual testing. If same testing is done by a tool, it is called as automation testing, right? So if I have to test login, I will open the application, enter username, password, click on OK, and then I will validate if the next page is displayed or not. That is how we test it manually. If same thing is done by a tool, if a tool opens the application, it enters username, password, and then it clicks on OK button, and then it validates if the next page is appearing or not. So same steps, when it is done by a tool, it is called as automation testing. So in UFT, you have an option to record the steps. That means you don't have to write the steps, as in you can tell UFT what it is supposed to do on the application. So you click on the record button and start recording the actions on the application manually. Right, so manually first I'll show UFT what needs to be done. So I will open the application, enter username, enter password, click on OK. So all these actions I'll do manually and show UFT. So what UFT will do, it will record all my actions. Whatever actions I am doing, it will record everything. And then when I play back, UFT is going to do the same action on my application. It's just like how you record a video. So during recording mode, when you're recording a video, so all the actions you do is recorded, right? And then when you play back, you can play back the video any number of times, right? So when you play back, you can see the actions that were recorded. Same thing here also. So you can record the actions that you want to do on the application. So once you have recorded, you play back the script. So when you play back, UFT is going to do the same actions that you did during recording on the application. Right? So it will automatically generate VB script code, or it will just record the actions that you have done on the application. Let us see how to do record and playback. Let us do it on a simple scenario. Let us do it for flight reservation login. Let me close this. Just add it here. Okay. Now once you have opened UFT, so once you've double clicked on the icon and then you have selected on the license page, you have just clicked on continue and you have selected required add-ins in the Addins Manager page, you get this one. This is the start page of UFT, and from here you can create your scripts. Right? So to create a script, under file you have a button called new. Just click on new and select new test. Under new, select new test. Select new test. Here you need to give two things. One is the name of the test and the other is location where you want to save this test. Let me give name of the test as first test. Any meaningful name you can give to your test script. So let me give the name as first test and browse for the location where you want to save it. Let us create a new folder and save all our scripts there. Browse. I'll save it in C drive. I'll create a new folder with the name automation 18 September. And I'll save all my scripts in this folder. C drive, automation 18 September. Click on select. Right, so give name to your test script and then select the location where you want to save your test. So once you have given name and location, just click on create. Click on create. This test gets created. Right, so your test script is created now. Here you need to go to the action tab. This one. You can see there's a tab called action 1, right? So go to action 1. When you go to action 1, you will see this window. So this window is called as the editor window. Okay, this window is editor window. In the editor window, you will be creating all your scripts. All the VB script coding will be done here. Okay, this is how you create a script. Under File, select New, and then select New Test. Then give a name to your test. Give a name to the test and select the location where you want to save this test. And then click on Create. Your test script is created. So once you have created your script, now I'll show you how to do recording. Say I want to record, let us take the simple one. Let us record flight login scenario. So to log in, what all things we need to do? First, we need to open the application. Right? First, open the application and then enter username, enter password, and then click on OK. Right? Open the application, enter username, enter password, click on OK. So these are the steps that we need to do to log in. So during recording, I will do the same steps on the application. To record the steps, click on this button. This is the record button. Here you can see a red dot, right? So this button is for recording. Just click on record button. Here no need to select everything. Okay, anything. Just click on this first button. Okay. I'll tell you about this window later. For now, it's a Windows application that we are automating. So just select the first option. Click on apply. Click on OK. Now it is in recording mode. So when it is in recording mode, if you see this window, recording window, that means you are in recording mode. So if you are in recording mode, all the actions that you do on your computer will be recorded. Right? First step is to open the application. So let me open the application from here. Right? Okay. It did not record. Just 1 second. Let me stop the recording and do it again. Okay, now it is in recording mode. First open the application. Okay, sometimes this opening the application does not get recorded. I'll tell you what you can do. Okay, then enter username. Username is John. Now if you see here once, okay, let me just mute your phones. There is some noise. Okay. So if you see here, once I have entered username as John, you can see one line of code got written here in my editor window. Right? So next thing I'll enter password. Password is HP. And then I'll click on OK. So 2 more lines got added. Okay. So then you can stop the recording. I have logged in. I have opened the application. I have entered username, password and clicked on OK. So all these lines got recorded. You can see a equivalent VB script line that got written here in the editor window. Right. So for now you will not understand this. Later on, after 1 or 2 weeks, you will understand what exactly are these lines, right? For now, I've just recorded the steps where I'm entering username, password and clicking on the OK button. I did not write anything, right? So I just did some actions on the application and all my actions got recorded and it generated a equivalent VB script code here in my editor window. That is recording. So you just click on the record button, do actions on the application, So when you do actions on the application, it generates VB script code for all the actions that you have done. Now when you play back the script, same actions will be done by UFT on your application. So whatever actions I did during recording, now when I play back the script, same actions UFT is going to do. So let us see how to play back the script. Before that, I have to do two things. One is, let me just slow down the execution so you can clearly see. Otherwise it is like really quick. Everything happens very fast in automation. So it will just open the application, enter username, password. You cannot really see what exactly the tool is doing. So you can control the speed of execution in UFT. You can set the delay for execution between each lines. You can do it here. Just go to Tools, Options, GUI Testing, Test Runs. Here I can set it to fast mode. If you select fast mode, then execution is very fast. Normal mode, I'll set a delay of 1 second. You have to give in milliseconds. 1000 milliseconds is 1 second of delay, right? So I've given 1000. So it is there in Tools, Options, Test Run, GUI Testing. So don't worry about this right now. We'll be using it very frequently. And second thing is, if you see here, it is starting from setting the username, right? Before that, I need to open the application. So there are two ways of opening the application actually. So you can just click on the application, so it will record a line to open the application. But sometimes if it does not work, then you can just go to record. Under record, you have this option called record and run settings. Select record and run settings. Here, Windows applications. If you select first option, that means you're telling UFT that you are going to open the application. If you want UFT to open the application for you, then you can select the second option. Select the second option and tell UFT which application you want to open. Okay, so I'll click on this green, you just click on this plus button. Browse for the application you want to open. Okay, so you can find this application in the installation path. See, program files, micro focus, UFT, same path from where you open the application, right? Sample application, samples, flight application. Here, this is the one, flight GUI. Just select the exe file or the application that you want to open. And then click on OK. Click on apply and click on OK. Now, since I've selected the second option, UFT will open the application first and then it will do these steps on the application. Right? That is how you do recording. So when you click on record, you can tell UFT which application you want to open. And then once the application opens, record all the actions that you want to do on the application. Equivalent line of VB script gets generated in your editor window. Now when you play back, UFT is going to do the same actions on your application. Now let us see how to play back the script. To play back the script, you have to hit the run button. Here you can see there's a run button next to record. Right, next to record, you have a run button. Just click on the run button. Here, again click on run. Now it will run the test. If you see, it opened the application. It set the username as John, password as HP, and then it clicked on OK to login. Right? So whatever actions I did during recording, now UFT did the same actions on the application. I did not do anything. So everything was done by tool. That is nothing but automation. When UFT or any tool tests your application on behalf of a tester, it is nothing but automation testing. right? Now whatever actions I did during recording is a one-time activity. So once you have recorded the script, it is always saved in that location. You can play back the script any number of times, right? Which means you can test your application any number of times. So once you have created your automation script, it's a one-time activity. So you can use that script to test your application any number of times. Just like how you can play back your recorded video any number of times, right? So it's the same thing. That is how you do record and playback. Let me run this again. I'll close the application. Click on run. Click on run. First it will open the application, enter username as John, password as HP, and then it has logged in. So once the execution is done, if you see here, I get some file here. It is nothing but the result file. Okay, so this is the result file. So once your execution is done, you always get this result file which will tell you whether your script has passed or failed. Since it is automation, then tool has to tell me, right, whether my testing has passed or failed. So by looking at the result file, you will come to know if your script has worked or if something went wrong with your script. Right now it says passed, which means my login test has passed. You will see a green tick mark if all the steps have passed. There will be a red cross mark if any of your test has failed. Down below, when you scroll down, you can see each step that was done on the application. If you see here, first it set the agent name or username. Both agent name, username are same. Right? So John, description is John was set in the agent name field. And then it set the password. Password is encrypted. You will not see HP as the password. It is encrypted for security reasons. And then it clicked on the OK button. So all the actions that UFT did on the application, you will see that in your result file, and for each step it will show whether that particular step has passed or failed. So all my 3 steps have passed, so you will see a green tick mark for all the steps. If any of the step fails, then you will see a red cross mark. It will also show you the execution time and duration of the test. Right? So this is something that you need to know, how to analyze a result file. So this opens automatically once the execution is done. You can go through each step and see what action was done in that step. And you can also check whether that particular step has passed or failed. So since we are doing automation as in tool is going to test the application, you need not have to sit in front of the system when the execution is happening, right? So that is the main idea of automation. Everything tool will do. We don't have to test anything manually. So since tool is going to test the application, I need not have to sit in front of the system when the execution is happening. It's not required. So that is why this result file is important. Say if you're going for a lunch break and you have kept some scripts for execution. Now when you come back from your break, you can check the result file and see what happened with your scripts. What all scripts passed and what all scripts failed. And whatever scripts have failed, why they have failed. So you can analyze the result file to figure out which step has failed. Right? So analyzing result file is very important. So this will tell you if your script has passed or failed. It will have details for each step. So you can go to any red cross step if your script has failed and see why it has failed. Right? So you will get this file automatically once your execution is done. This is something which is required by both manual and automation tester. Even the manual tester should know how to analyze a result file, because sometimes even they do the execution. They're not going to create automation scripts, but if they have any release, then sometimes they're required to do execution of the automation scripts. Okay, so that is how you do record and playback. You're not doing any scripting right now. It's just that you have to click on record the actions on your application. Once you're done, stop the recording, and then to playback, just hit the run button. Is it clear? Any questions in record and playback? Okay. Where are your QTP scripts saved? QTP script will be either saved in the file system, that is your network drive. Just now we have saved in the file system, right? In C drive. So you can save your QTP script in the file system, or you can save your QTP scripts in QC, Quality Center. It is again a HP tool, also called as ALM. So ALM is a HP tool for test management. So since both are HP tools, they belong to the same company, you can integrate these two tools to save all your automation scripts. So this part we'll study later. Probably last week of the class we will learn how to integrate UFT and QC. For now we'll just skip this part. So but you get two options to save your automation scripts. So either you can save it in your file system, that is your C drive, D drive or E drive, whatever drive you have on your machine, or you can save it in QC. Right? So these are the two options you get to save your QTP or UFT scripts. Automation scripts are done on regression testing. So I think you're all aware of what is a regression test. What exactly is regression testing? Any idea what is regression testing? Can anyone tell me what is regression testing? Retesting. Yes, running modified and affected test cases. Right? Yes. So whenever there is a code change, whenever there is a code change which is done on your application, you need to verify it has not affected the existing functionalities, right? So you have already tested the existing functionalities, but whenever there is a code change, you just want to ensure that it has not messed up the existing functionalities. So that is why you test them again. These critical functionalities, you test them again just to ensure that code change has not impacted the existing functionalities. Existing functionalities are still working fine. That is nothing but regression testing. So regression testing is done every time there is a code change. Every time there is a new release, you do regression testing, because you should ensure that sometimes when they are making some code changes, chances are there that they might mess up the existing code, right? So regression testing is done on every release, where you test if the existing functionalities which were already tested, you retest them again just to ensure that they're still working fine. And automation is always done on regression test cases. Why? Because regression testing is something which you need for every release, right? It is reused. Something which is reused, if you automate it, then you will save time. So that is why automation testing is always done on regression test cases. No matter what tool your project is using, we always automate regression test cases. So you have tools like UFT or Selenium to automate your regression test cases. QC is a test management tool, also a defect tracking tool. It is used to manage your test assets, like you can save your test cases, you can do your execution from QC, you can also open defect in QC, you can track it. So all these things can be done from QC. It's a test management tool, whereas UFT is an automation tool. We already studied about types of license. And this is the new tour's flight reservation web application, URL, username and password. Okay, so no manual intervention is required to run the automation script. That is the main advantage of automation, right? So you don't have to do anything manually. Everything will be done by tool. All the testing will be done by tool. So once you have created the scripts, you don't have to do anything manually. You just hit the run button. That is all we have to do. Hit the run button and all the testing will be done by the tool. So manual intervention is not required. So there is also called as continuous integration testing. So what is continuous integration testing? Many projects are adapting continuous integration testing these days. So continuous integration testing is every time there is a code change, as in, I'll first tell you what is continuous integration. So earlier, or most of the projects, what they used to do is developers will develop the code. Say if there are 5 developers, all 5 developers will develop piece of code. So once they are done with developing the coding, like coding their part, so one day they will sit and integrate all their code to form the complete application. That is how it is usually done, right? So say if they have to build Walmart, for example, so 5 developers are coding to develop application for Walmart. So all 5 developers will write their code, they will test their piece of code. So once they are done, all 5 developers will integrate their code together to form Walmart.com. But there was an advantage with this approach. Main drawback was integrating all this big piece of code together was a tough task, and lot of defects were introduced during this integration because all 5 developers have developed their code, which is a big piece of code, and integrating everything together in one day was actually complicated because everything was a big piece of code, and then you form this complete application when you integrate this code. So even though their individual code was working, when they integrated, a lot of defects were introduced in this integration stage. So now what most of the projects they do is they go for continuous integration. So it does not happen this way. All 5 developers, they will not develop their code and one day they will not sit and integrate. So what they do in continuous integration is, as and when you develop a small piece of code, say registration is developed by a developer, you integrate it with the main code. And then the next developer has developed for login. You integrate it to the main code base. Next developer has developed one more functionality, say account information. Integrate it with the code base. So as and when you do a piece of code, a small piece of code, you keep on integrating together with the main code. So you don't have to wait in the end to integrate everything to form the application. So as and when you develop a small pieces of code, you keep on integrating it. So that way, you keep on integrating the code. So you don't have to sit one day to integrate everything. So since you are integrating to the main code, less number of defects are introduced. So that is nothing but continuous integration. Continuous integration testing is whenever a developer adds his small piece of code to the main code base, you test it. So that way you're testing at each and every stage. Okay, registration is integrated, test it. Login, one more developer has integrated to the main code, test it. So you're not developing the complete application and then testing it. So as and when developer adds a new code to the code base, you test it. So that way, lesser number of defects. So you're finding defects at early stage also. So that is nothing but continuous integration testing. So there are tools like Jenkins which are basically used for continuous integration testing. So with regards to automation, you can integrate your automation tool like UFT or Selenium with Jenkins. And what Jenkins does is, whenever a new code is attached or it is integrated with the main code, it will automatically run all your automation scripts and it will email the result to the stakeholders, which means you don't have to even click on the run button. So if you're integrating Jenkins with your automation tool, so whenever a developer deploys a new code, Jenkins will automatically run all your automation scripts. It will test the application. And then once the execution is done, it will email the result to everybody, like developers, testers, managers, leads. So everyone will get an email on the result. So that way you don't even have to hit the run button. You will automatically get the result, and you can check the result, and defects can be fixed early. Right? So that is the role of Jenkins. It is mainly used for continuous integration testing. Okay, so this is just for your information what is continuous integration testing and what you can do with Jenkins tool. Okay, so record and playback. We've studied how to do record and playback, but just record and playback will not help, even though it looks very simple. You just have to click the record button, do the actions on the application, stop the recording, and then you can play back the script. UFT is going to do the same action. So even though it's simple, it's quite useful, but just record and playback will not help. Okay, what do you refer to automate? What are the input documents to automate? So these are some of the input documents that you will be using during automation. Manual test case is one important document which is a must for automation. Apart from that, you have other documents like framework, coding standards, naming standards, automation process, automation test plan. So we'll be studying about all these other documents one by one. We'll study what is framework. So probably second week of the class, we'll study what is framework, some of the coding standards documents. And there is a plan for automation when you have to start your automation, what all scripts you have to automate. So that is created by automation lead. It's called as the automation test plan. I'll also show you a sample automation test plan. So these are some of the input documents. For now, we will not bother about the other documents because we'll be studying this one later. But one thing which is very important is the manual test case. Manual test case is must for automation. Manual tester will write the manual test cases. Automation tester will pick these manual test cases, refer the steps written by the manual tester, and he will do the same thing using tool. So you know that automation is always done on regression test cases, right? Which are already tested. So manual tester would have already written the regression test cases. Automation tester will just pick these regression test cases, refer the steps written by the manual tester. He will do the same thing on the application using the automation tool. Right? So you're not going to automate new functionalities because new functionalities are not stable. Right? So we never automate new functionalities. We automate only regression test cases. So you will already have manual regression test cases. You have to refer the manual test cases and do the same thing using tool. So manual testing is compulsory. Manual test case is compulsory for automation. It is one of the main input document to do automation. So you will have a manual test case like this. Okay, let me put it in one single page. Yeah. See, this is a manual test case. Can you read this for a minute? These 5 steps. Okay, 1 second. I'll just maximize it. Yeah. Can you read these 5 steps for 2 minutes? A sample manual test case. Okay, so manual tester will write this kind of sample manual test case, and automation tester will refer this manual test case and he will do the automation. So this is a sample manual test case for login. So you need to open the application, same thing which we did. Open the application, enter username, enter password, click on OK button and then close the application. So you refer the manual test case and do the same thing using UFT. That is how we do automation. So homework, install UFT on your home computer, change it to UFT. So UFT 14.5 is the latest version which is available on the Micro Focus website. You can just go to Google and type UFT 14.5 and you can download it from the Micro Focus website. So in case you are not able to, or if UFT is not compatible with your operating system, you can always reserve the lab and do the practice. Practice is very much important for automation. It's not as easy as compared to manual, right? So manual is just a concept, right? But automation is difficult when compared to manual testing, and you have to do a lot of practice. So minimum 3 rounds of practice is what you have to do. So you will have to play back the video, do the same thing on your own. That is how we usually tell the students to practice. Play the video, pause it, do the same thing on your own, then again play the video for the next 5-10 minutes, pause, do the same thing. So that is the best way to practice this tool. There is also UFT tutorial file. I think this one you have already received yesterday from Madhu, right? So UFT tutorial file. So you can use this UFT tutorial file. This is a PDF file given by HP. So you can take the hard copy, because with hard copy it is easy to study. So you can take the hard copy of this tutorial file and you can start studying. In case you are using lab to do the practice, you have to install TeamViewer. TeamViewer is required to access the lab. So you can install TeamViewer. You can install TeamViewer version 11. So install TeamViewer. So once TeamViewer is installed, you have already received the lab reservation sheet, right? So along with yesterday's email, just one second. Okay, so yesterday's email, you have received the lab reservation sheet, right? So in the lab reservation sheet, you have the link to download TeamViewer. You can download, install TeamViewer, and you can access the lab. So partner ID, password, everything is mentioned in the lab reservation sheet. So this is the partner ID for UFT lab machine. So you can enter this partner ID, enter password, and you can start using the lab. Okay, any questions so far? Anyone is having any questions? Okay. All right. So two important things in your automation script is, one is understanding the result file. So this we have already done. So once your execution is completed, you will get the result file. In the result file, it will tell you whether your script has passed or failed, right? So it will show you the details of each step. So you will have a tick mark for each step if all the steps have passed. If any of the step has a red cross mark, that means that particular step has failed. So result file is very important because it is going to tell you whether your script has passed or failed. So apart from the result file, you also have something called as keyword view and expert view. So I'll tell you what is keyword view and what is expert view. Are we going to learn VB script as well in this training? Yes. So VB script commands which is required for automation. VB script is a very vast language. not everything is required for automation. So we are going to learn the VB script part which is required for automation. So there are 20 VB script command that we will be learning. So we'll be learning all the VB script like loops, statements, so everything, some of the functions, how to create functions. So all these things we will be learning. Whatever is required for you to automate an application, so all that VB script part we'll be learning in this course. Yeah. So one more thing we need to learn is what is keyword view and expert view. Now when I recorded this test, okay, let me increase this font. 1 second. This font is too small. Okay, so it's not working. Just 1 second. Okay, so this is the test that we recorded, right? So we did some actions like entering username, password, clicked on the OK button. So this view is called as editor view. It is also called as expert view. Editor view or expert view, both are same. Sometimes some people call it as editor view, some call it as expert view. Both editor view, expert view are same. So this is the VB script code that got generated. So the VB script code that gets generated is your expert view or editor view. So initially for a beginner this is difficult to understand, right? So you might not understand what each line is doing here. So in that case you can switch to keyword view. Keyword view is more like a description and it is easy to understand. To switch to keyword view, you can click on this button on UFT. This button. Toggle between keyword and editor. And so this button is used to switch to keyword view. Just click on this button. So when you click on this button, it will switch to keyword view. Can you read this for 2 minutes? Okay, so it is more like a documentation. If you see here, it's more like a documentation. So you can actually see the description of what each line is doing. In the 4th column, if you see, enter John in the age and name edit box. That is what we are doing in line number 1. We are entering John in the age and name edit box. Next line is enter the encrypted password in the password edit box. This password is encrypted. It's not HP, it is encrypted it to something else. So for security reasons, UFT will always encrypt your password. Right, so enter the encrypted password in the password edit box. And the last line, we are clicking on the OK button. Click the OK button. So in keyword view, it will tell you the description of what each line is doing. In editor view, it is the VB script part. If you want to know, if you have recorded some actions and you want to know what each line is doing, then you can switch to keyword view. So this is just for the beginners. So once you have got used to the VB script part, once you start understanding the code, we will always be using editor view. We don't use keyword view. So this you can initially use when you're learning UFT, because this will tell you what actions are being done at each step. You can switch back to editor view. Again, click on the same button. It opens editor view. But this is something which we'll be using every day. That is just for the beginners, or just to know what each line is doing, you can switch to keyword view. Okay, so that is keyword view and expert view and understanding the result file. What is the file extension for GUI test? So when you create your test in UFT, it will have the file extension .tsp. .tsp is the file extension for your GUI test. It stands for test script file. So that is the file extension when you create a test in UFT. Right? So that is about the basics of UFT. So we learned about the tool, how to open the tool, what all different screens that you get before you open, like the license warning page, Addins Manager page, how to create a script, how to do recording, and how to play back the script. And then we also learned how to analyze the result file, what is keyword view and expert view. Now so far whatever we have studied, it is required for both manual and automation tester. Even if you're working as a manual tester, you need to know these basic things yesterday and today, whatever you have learned. So it is required for both manual and automation tester. That is because, like I said, sometimes even the manual tester is required to do the execution. So if you have a release and you have to do regression testing, if you already have automation regression test, then why to do it manually? You can just pick this automation regression test and do the execution. Right? So sometimes even the manual tester is required to do the execution. So yesterday's and today's class is the basic automation topic, UFT topic, which is required for both. From tomorrow, whatever we are going to learn is all advanced QTP topic, which is required for an automation tester. But so far, whatever we have studied, how to run, how to analyze result files, so this is a must for manual tester also. Now let us see what is the role of a manual tester in an automation project. Can you read this 4 points for a minute? Okay. So this is the role of a manual tester in an automation project. So manual tester is responsible for writing manual regression test cases. Right? So manual tester is going to write manual regression test case. because it is one of the input document for automation, right? So automation tester is going to refer this manual regression test case and he is going to do the same thing using tool. So manual tester is responsible for writing manual test case suitable for automation. Manual tester should also provide walkthrough of the manual test case to automation tester. So manual tester knows the application better, right? So he sometimes has to provide, if automation tester does not know the application in detail, then manual tester has to provide walkthrough, explain the steps written in the manual test case to automation tester. So it is easy for the automation tester to do the automation, right? So manual tester will give a walkthrough to the automation tester about the manual test case. So if you have a release, then if manual tester is asked to do the execution, then manual tester is required to open the automation script, run the script and analyze the result. Manual tester is not involved in scripting. You're not going to do the scripting part if you're working as a manual tester. It will be done by automation tester. But if you are doing execution, then manual tester should know how to open the script, how to run the script, and how to analyze the result. Something which we did today, right? So you need to know how to open the script. So once script is created, you can open it any number of times, right? So let me show you how to open the script. So first you need to open UFT. So to open UFT, I'll double click on this UFT icon. This is the splash screen, and then you get license warning. In this page, just click on continue. Select the add-ins. Click on OK. Now login test is already there. It's already created by automation tester. So if I have to open the test and do the execution, so under file, go to open. Next to new, you have open and select open test. Select the test that you want to open. So test that we created is there in automation 18 September. This is the one, right? So I'll select the test, click on open. Go to action 1 tab. You will see the test. Now to run this, hit this run button next to record button. You have run, or you can press F5. So I'll hit the run button. Click on run. First it will open the application, enter John, HP, click on OK. And then you will get the result file. You have to analyze the result file and see if the script has passed or failed, right? So manual tester should know how to open the test, how to run the script, and how to analyze the result file. If script fails, say for example you're manual tester and you have executed 50 automation scripts. Out of 50, 10 have failed. So you don't have to worry about the past ones. 40 have passed, so don't worry about that. But the scripts that have failed, these 10 scripts have failed, right? So these scripts that have failed, rerun them. Rerun the scripts that have failed. Rerun these 10 scripts again. So out of 10, when you rerun again, say 5 have passed. So don't worry about the past ones. 5 which failed again, you test them manually. Only these 5, you test it manually. Manually, if they're working, then there is some problem with the automation script, right? So you inform the automation tester, tell them that they need to fix these 5 scripts. Manually also, if it is not working, manually also if it is giving same issue, then there is a problem in the application. You open a defect and assign it to the developer. Developer has to fix something on the application, right? So if script fails, you're not going to fix any script. You just have to analyze why the script has failed. Only the failed script you rerun. Second time also if it is failing, then run them manually. Manually if it is working, then inform the automation tester. He has to fix these automation scripts. Manually also if you are facing same issue, then there is a problem with the application. You have to inform the developer, open a defect on the application and get it fixed. Sometimes it can be environment issue, as in the environment is down or there is some problem in the environment. When I say environment, your application. Say you open www.walmart.com, it is giving HTTP 500 error. So problem is not in the automation script, problem is not in the code, problem is in the environment. Your application is down due to some deployment or server is down or something has happened and your application is not opening. That means your environment is down. So you have to contact the environment support team. In your projects, you will have a separate team called environment support team who is responsible for maintaining your application. So if the environment is down, you will be contacting the environment support team. Right? So whenever your script fails, you need to analyze why your script has failed, and accordingly you contact either the developer if there is a defect. If the defect is in the script, then you contact the automation tester. If the problem is in the environment, you contact the environment support team. Right? So these are the 4 steps that you need to do as a manual tester in case you are running the automation script, or this is the help that you have to do to the automation tester. It is not possible to open QTP script from the file system. You have to open it from QTP. Just like how we opened this script, right? I can open the script from UFT. I cannot open it directly from C drive. I cannot go to C drive, automation 18 September. This is the one, first name, and I cannot open this TSP file. Right? So I cannot open it. It will not allow me to open this. You can open the test only from UFT. Okay, so that is about the basics. So what all things we have learned today? We learned about the Addins Manager page. We learned different types of licenses. We also learned what is record and playback, how to record and playback a script, how to analyze the result file. We also learned about keyword view and expert view, 2 sample applications that we will be using, and what is the role of a manual tester in automation project. Right, so these are all the basic topics. So from tomorrow we will be learning the advanced QTP topics. Right, so this is very simple. So from tomorrow we will start with advanced QTP topics. We will start learning how UFT actually works, how to build your script, how to write some extra code. So all these things will start with tomorrow's class. Okay, so tomorrow date is September 20. And so any questions in today's session? Anyone is having any questions regarding any of the topics that I have covered? Any questions in today's class? Okay. Alright. If there are no questions, we will wind up for today and we'll continue again tomorrow. And so tomorrow, same time, you will have the next QTP class. Thank you so much. Good night. Bye-bye.